Good morning, traders. All right, we have sound. It's Friday. It's September 3rd. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. Thank you all so much for joining me. We got 27 people here, but there'll be more flooding in. Please smash that like button right away. I was late getting the link up this morning, so things are a little slow. If we can get those likes first thing, that'll help YouTube know to send some more peeps our way. All right, well, what do we have here in the overnight? I'm just going to expand out the overnight market. So first things first, just looking at the profile here, it looks pretty bullish in the fact that most of the trade took place above their opening price up in here. And they also made a new all-time high. Okay, we know all-time highs that are created in the overnight market are often or are always repaired by the regular trading hours at some point. So that is bullish that it gives us a target to the upside. And the fact that we spent most of the night bouncing around up in here means the market was intending to have continuation of the trend higher, value being slightly higher than the regular trading hours and completely higher than yesterday. But when we expand out the profile to look at specifically how the market moved throughout the night, you could see they were slowly grinding higher, pushed up to higher prices, found some acceptance, and spent the rest of the night up here until dun-dun-dun-dun-dun this morning when the job report came out and showed that there's been a slowdown in new hires. And that's, of course, because of the Delta variant, which is everybody's scariest possible scenario. So the market's been kind of crazy ever since. It's been having lots of volatility, bouncing up and down, lots of uncertainty in here. Okay, so what that makes me think is I don't want to take any trades first thing this morning because I want to give the market a chance to absorb this news. Right? I'm not a news trader, so for me, I don't want to risk capital when I don't really understand what the market's doing. So regular traditional market profile things to look at. We're opening inside the previous day's range and looks like maybe inside the previous day's value area. So that increases the odds of chop early in the morning. So already I wouldn't be looking for a trade first thing in the day. I'd be giving the market some time to kind of grind around and figure out which direction it wants to go. Okay. Sorry, voice is still weak here this morning. This throat just will not heal. So I'm sorry if I sound like I'm going through puberty. I'm not. I'm a full-grown man, I promise. But as far as what to look for this morning, so we expect chop first thing in the morning. We expect some grind. And then what we'll look for is what happens if we get down to yesterday's low. Okay, yesterday's low should act as good support because the market had such a harsh sell-off down into this area yesterday, and it spent so much time grinding around at these lower levels afterward that if the market needed to go further down, for example, one thing that we were talking about in the Brigade, in the private room, let me just get that pen tool up here. One thing that we were talking about was the look above and fail, right? We have like a balancing area over here. So yesterday we looked above. When we pulled back down, we were like, oh no, we might be looking at a look above and fail, which means we need to trade to the opposite end of balance to find support and then continue higher. But that didn't happen. So that's a when what should happen doesn't scenario, which tells me that there is a lot of strength in yesterday's low. Okay, so then to add to that narrative is this overnight low. So even in all this panic that's happened over the last hour or two here with the jobless numbers, they still held that low. And you got to love it when you're talking about it, it goes down there to test it again. Pre-market. Oh, they're trying to push it down so that we have a gap down. Okay, so this to me is a very important level. If it doesn't hold, it could lead to us needing to trade to the opposite end of that balance, which would be repairing the gap that we left behind on the 30th. Ooh, early volatility. Chop, chop, chop. Okay, so we did open inside the previous day's range. We do expect chop here. We expect chop both just because we opened in the previous day's range and again because of the uncertainty with these jobless numbers. People are positioning themselves right now for where they think the market's going to move throughout the day. And so, okay, so that's to the downside. I'm looking for support there. If I don't find support at yesterday's low, I'd be happy to go short. But again, not necessarily expecting much more downside continuation than a repair of the gap from 830. As far as the upside is concerned, I'd be watching this node of volume that we created yesterday, right where this week H period high is. If we can get up to there, repair it, get above it, come back down and start finding support in this node of volume, that would be extremely bullish for me for continuation to get up to that all-time high. But if we get up into there and we find resistance and we can't get above it, that to me would be a short to trade back down to the opposite end of yesterday's range. Okay. So both this node of volume here and the low from yesterday are kind of the important areas for me to watch how the market reacts when it gets there. In between this area, just chop, just grind. Great for a scalper, bad for everyone else. Okay, internals opening bearish with that big pullback in the last hour. But we'll give them some time to settle in. "62 people watching, 19 likes. Come on, guys, you know you like it. You like that squeaky pirate voice. Smash that like button. Help out the stream. Help out the streamer. Costs you nothing. Makes you feel good for the rest of the day. Good morning, Arcaleon. Good to see you. Rad back with us. Design Knob in the house. Donkey is here. MK. Good to see you. Welcome. Amir is here. Sanju, good morning to you. Partha back with us. Marco is here. Good to see you, brother. Seeing the balancing area high as 45.35. Yep, I would say that's fair. The only thing is we got to look above that didn't pull back down to the opposite end of balance. So we may have a larger balancing area than we're aware of here. But yeah, that would be a good spot for it right there. Yeah, and I would say the resistance will come just a little bit above there, more like 37, where the node of volume from yesterday is. "777, thank you so much. Letting me know the sound is okay. Good morning, Freddie. Welcome back. Good to see you. Arthur is here. Good morning to you. Yeah, I too hope nobody tried to trade in this chop unless you had no stop and a very, very close take profit. That's the only way you can do it, but that's very risky and I don't recommend it. Good morning, Jose. Good to see you. And Jitten, good morning to you. All right, so we're heading down to test that low from yesterday. Do we start to bring in some support here? Chitting. Oh, that's good. That's what I'm here for. Now, when you know it's going to be that choppy, the only trades you can do is to like, okay, I'll go long right here. I'll put my like take profit right here, but you can't put a stop because you'll get stopped out. And then you just have to like pucker up your butthole and just wait for the market to grind up there. Boom. So right there, that would have been a profitable trade, but it's like, fuck, it's so stressful. I hate starting my day that way. All right, testing yesterday's low. Nope. Trading donkey. The last 7 minutes. Yeah, it's true, man. There's a lot of pressure riding on this right here. Like I said, I wouldn't get too scared until we repaired this gap down here and then we still couldn't find support. Then I'd be worried about a larger pullback. I mean, this is emotion here, so whatever happens can be retraced very quickly. But the uncertainty in the air, ooh, it's palpable. This is such a day like, a morning like this is such a great opportunity as a trader to exercise your discipline. You know, you watch how far the market is moving and you think to yourself, oh man, if I'd have gone long at yesterday's low, it just pulled all the way back up to half back. That would have been such a good trade. You start to see those things, but that's when you must say to yourself, like, no, like I have my rules and I follow my rules. My rules tell me when we're getting chop and we don't know what the market's going to do, I don't take trades. I wait. I be disciplined. I ignore those emotional reactions that price action causes. Price is just an advertising mechanism. It's just trying to trick me into participating. But I know better. Values overlapping to lower. We're in the middle of a balancing area. We got crazy volatility, tempo. So I'm going to wait and be patient. Yeah, see, Design Knob knows what I'm talking about. It's such a good sale. If any of you have ever wondered why stores have sales, why they put up the sign outside, ooh, it's, a holiday weekend. Mattresses are 25% off. It's because that convinces people who don't even need a mattress to go buy one just because they feel like they're getting such a good deal. It's just an advertising mechanism, that's all. Let's jump over and see what the Q is doing. The NQ. Okay, looks very similar to the ES. But again, not quite as bullish in the overnight. Same thing as yesterday. Look at where the overnight spent its time and put in its volume. Look where it spent its time and put in its volume yesterday. The overseas markets are very uncertain with the tech stocks right now. Just a bunch of short-term traders picking each other's pockets. So it is bullish that they didn't have to come back and test the opening price. They went one tick lower, pushed higher, and then on that recent pullback we just had, they built up volume at a higher price. So that's a little more bullish. Marco is a little more longable. That's a new one. I do use the term shortable, but I don't ever use the term longable. It's great. Yeah, I still see this as chop. Buyable. Yeah, buyable. Yeah, there's a word for that. Buyable. Yeah, I was talking to somebody last night about something that had nothing to do with markets. I forget what it was. But I go, I'm bullish on that. And they were like, you're what? I was like, I'm bullish. Oh, I think that's a good thing. Nick D, is there an 845 number? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh, you mean did something? Yeah, it was the jobs report. I think it came out before that, though. It just basically said less new people got jobs last month than expected because of the Delta. Okay, and Q, but it's testing that 20 moving average on the 15-minute candles, and it's having trouble poking through. So if that's acting as resistance, it's an indicator. Donkey might have a ripper on our hands. Yeah, I mean, if we can hold this low, I'll forgive this little tiny dip below. If we can basically hold this level here that we're at, I see no reason why we can't get back up there and try to take out that all-time high. I just think they haven't decided yet. You have a feeling those 800 contracts are going to disappear about 2 seconds before the market gets to them. They love to spoof it, but we'll see. Nicholas, good time for SPY calls? That's up to you, brother. What's your time frame? Are you a short-term trader? Are you going to hold those calls into next week? Diane, how is uncrushable E-mini? Uncrushable. Sure feels that way. Feels like stocks can only go up. You know the SEC's watching the stream. No, fuck no. They're not going to do that. They're lobbyists make money off of that. I'm telling you guys, no one understands how much of what happens in markets is designed purely to trick retail traders. Every new tool that they create, as soon as they give you access to see that, see how much volume there is at different levels waiting there, there's somebody who's doing it just to trick you. He's selling up here, and then he's putting a big ass order down there so that people buy, thinking that they've got support. And then when it gets down there, boop, it disappears and the market falls. And all those people who bought, they're short. I mean, they're long in the hole. All right. Well, the NASDAQ is still struggling to get through that 20 moving average. ES is back down at its lows. They cannot get the ticks above the zero line. So things are leaning more bearish here. And it's not too crazy to imagine, because of the balancing area, that we might need to trade down to the opposite end of balance. We also have a gap there. Value overlapping to lower. An indication of either sideways or further pullback. Brian, can't wait for the 4400s to trade trap since Monday. Yeah, I mean, there is that gap down there too, I think to 4440. Yeah, exactly to 4440. So that might be in play, but not yet. Let's see what happens with this first gap. Okay. Getting me bearish here. Looks like they need to go to the opposite end of balance. So technically the opposite end of balance is the low from the 31st right here at 45.12.50. But because there's that gap just a few dollars below, I would expect that's what they'd be targeting. I don't know if it really is that much, man. Let's go back to the daily. Bitcoin's up today. I mean, the 20 moving average is at 75. And 44.40 is just a little bit above the 50. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying is like you fail to break out here, you pull back down. You fail to break out here, you pull back down. So if we fail to break out again, it's not that unreasonable to think we're going to pull back down. But you could also look at it as a balancing area, right? Let's go to like the SPX. So you could see it as like balance, excess, balance. Oops, that's crooked. Excess, balance. So if that balance area holds, boom, you trade up to the opposite end, excess again, balance again, so on and so forth. That's why I put a lot of pressure on that first gap. Okay, we got bad taper at the low. It's also a poor low because it came exactly to the tick, to the low from 2 days ago. Nav Trader, good to see you, brother. Welcome. All right, NQ trying to push its way through that 20 once again. Can it break on through this time? Okay, well, that's bullish. It was able to get through that 20. Let's go look at the NQ. So now it's pushing its way up into this resistance, this area where it spent so much time and put so much volume over the last couple of nights. What we want to see now is if it pulls back down, we want to see that 20 moving average act as support, which it commonly does. Once it pushes through to the upside, it then acts as support when the market pulls back down to it. Nav Trader. On the Q, would you call this a gap on the upside since overnight traded above yesterday's high? No. And it doesn't look like it did. The overnight traded completely inside yesterday's range. Jesus, the overnight traded almost exactly yesterday's range. All right, well, they pushed right through that node of volume from the overnight. So there's some FOMO happening here in the Q. Hardcore. Very, very thin volume. But it's bullish. Looking for support on the pull back down. Oh, by QQ you meant. I thought you just mistyped and you meant to type NQ. You meant on the ES, would I see it as a gap? No, because we opened inside the previous day's range. So we opened right here, which was inside the previous day's range. So no gap. Okay, so the question becomes, is that last push higher that we just had, was that new buyers or was it just a short squeeze? And I'm looking at the ticks and I'm saying they're below the zero line. Both indices below the zero line. So that means there are not more people buying than selling, which gives me the clue that this push in the NQ and the ES may have just been short covering. So now we need to see support. We need to see buyers stepping in here to keep that momentum going. Great, Donkey. Great. It's funny how when you and I disagree on something and I'm right, you never keep bringing it up. It never comes up again. Jitten would be nice to repair that poor low. I don't know, man. This market has no problem pushing higher on a poor low. We've learned that over the last 6 months. Yeah, but I'm just not that kind of person, dude. I'm not petty. Like, I don't brag about my wins. No, I mean, he's doing it in a playful way. He's just having fun. It doesn't bother me. All right, well, we're about to get the one-time framing higher. Let's see what those ticks are doing. They're working their way back up there. Man, I'm cautiously bullish here. I'm not going to officially go bullish, though, until those ticks get above the zero line. ES also just pushed through its 20 moving average, so that is bullish. Okay, value area pushing right up to the top of price. Still overlapping to lower. So what does that mean, Charles? What are you telling us? Well, overlapping to lower is a signal of sideways or further down. But the fact that it's staying right kind of pegged to the top of price is a sign that the price needs to keep pushing higher, right? Price has to get above value in order for people to be overpaying for it. Still can't get those ticks above that zero line. Come on, buyers. You know, you want you some ES contracts. Okay, they're building up support here. Fausto in the house. Good to see you, brother. Welcome. Market is one time framing higher, but as we've discussed so much, I don't really put too much weight on it. I, of course, make note of it, but I don't put too much weight till the C period, just because a lot of times they reverse it on us. Man, those ticks can't get above 0. Donkey's got his eyes on 32.75. Looking for the breakout and then the back test. I feel like this is the back test right here at 30. When it first pushed up and it pulled back down, it pushed up and it sat there for a second and then it pulled back down. It pulled right into this node here. And that's where it found support. It was like, and then it pushed back up. So I think that this is a good area of support. And I just want to see the ticks get above the 0 line just a tiny little bit. Just get above there to verify my assumption. Fausto, the tape this week was not friendly to me. You know I hate stuff like that, bro. The tape's the tape. The market's never wrong. We are wrong in how we read it sometimes, but the market will do what the market will do. Chitten's still counting on that poor low. No, I mean, at this point, right, they squeezed the shorts out of their trades. And so now it's like a competition of, can we bring in buyers, right? But imagine if it turned around at this point and traded back down to that poor low. Maybe that suddenly brings in more buyers. It could be a repair, but probably it's going to keep going. And that's where the buyers will step in, right down there. So let's see. Here we go. All right. I'm going to say that's good enough for me. I'm bullish. Still got to get back through the 20 moving average here on the 15-minute candles. But there are buyers stepping in. Ah, well, there you go, Fausto. That's the way to do it. Let the paint dry. Need to catch the all-day runner. Are you long right now because of the one-time framing? Well, there you go. So far, so good. You got targets to the upside. Repair the weak references from yesterday, and then the all-time high. And just keep watching that one-time framing every 30 minutes. Can the low of the next time frame stay above the previous? Yeah, Nick, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good trade. Profits are profits. If you wanted to come up with a strategy to help you to navigate that better the next time, enter with 2 contracts and just take profits on the first one and then move your stop above the second one so that you can't lose money on the trade, and then let that second one run as far as it'll run. Yeah, Nav Trader. I don't know though. I think the taper is bad and it's a poor low. Okay, value is overlapping to lower. There's lots of reasons to feel that way, but it's always a matter of asking yourself, like, what is the market trying to do, and how good of a job is it doing of it? This morning, what the market was doing was just reacting to bad news. There was just a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty in the market because of the jobs report that came out. And so to me, the fact that we pushed up here, came back down into this area, and then we did the work here. We slowly but surely brought in the buyers. The tick struggled so hard to get above that zero line. The market had to work so hard to push through that 20 moving average that I feel like we may have absorbed some of that fear and shock that was in the market because of that jobs report that came out. So I'm just not as focused on this anymore, because now the thing that I'm assuming the market is doing is it's accepting the bad news and showing us it still wants to go higher. So yeah, absolutely. They love to trap people at a new all-time high. But I don't think if they did, they'd pull all the way back down to the low. But let's wait and see. Once we print the C period in 10 minutes, we can use the one time framing as a good signal. Can the C period low stay above the B period low? Shubaho Deep, non-farm payroll data. So if that comes bright, it might be upteenth case of buy the dip. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's always a case of buy the dip, isn't it? Cine Matt, market is never wrong, but I've been wrong all week and too stubborn to exit losing trades. Well, then you need a strategy. You need to create a system for exiting trades when you're wrong. You could read that book, Trading in the Zone. He talks about that. You need to have a systematic way of managing a trade once you're in it. So, for example, just setting a stop and saying, no matter what, if it gets below this level, I'm wrong. So right now, a great one would be if you were to enter long here, you could say this node of volume, which acted as support. If I put my stop here, I don't care if it comes down, it fills my stop, and then starts to go up again. That's fine. I'm not going to freak out and jump back into the trade. My thought is that this node will hold. So if I get stopped out, that's it. Trade is wrong and I'm gone. Or maybe you say one time framing. You go like, okay, I'm going to put my stop right here because I believe the market's going to keep one time framing higher. And then if it gets down there, you just let your stop fill and get out of the trade. Even if it comes down, find support and then starts trading back up. Having a hard system for exiting if you're wrong. And that's something everyone, especially those of you that are newer to trading, one thing you have to understand about entering a trade is anytime you're entering a trade, you should be entering it because you see something happening in the market that you believe you understand what it's doing. You're like, I know what the market is doing right now. It's blah, blah, blah. And so there should be some way to know when you're wrong, right? If I'm right that this is good support, then the market shouldn't get below it. So I can put my stop right there because that's where I'm wrong. That's where my thesis for getting into the trade is proven wrong. And you just have to, when you enter the trade, you have to accept that much of a loss going into it. You have to say, I'm so confident that this is good support. I'm so ready to go long that if the market comes down here and fills my stop order, I'm not going to care. I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to feel like I made a mistake. I accept the risk because the confidence I have in my narrative, in my belief of what the market is going to do, is worth the risk. It's all an emotional game. And when you learn to do that, to accept the risk, then when your stop fills, you move on and you stop thinking about it and you start looking for the next trade. And you don't get stuck in trades, letting the market just grind away at you and make you angry and upset and you're losing money and you're, am I right? Am I wrong? Ugh. Like, avoid all of that by managing the way you think about trades before you enter them. Sorry, guys. Geez, the chat's building up here. Red, wrong, green, good. That's funny. Well, not always, right? Sometimes you enter a trade and it goes against you for a little bit, but you have to be aware that that's a possibility. All right, well, that 20 moving average isn't really holding here. That should have acted as support once we push through it on the upside. So the fact that it passed through upwards and down again is a signal of potential rotation. Man, ticks falling off the cliff. So we're running out of buyers here. Market is losing confidence. Partha, why did you narrate my personal trading life in 5 minutes? Because your personal trading life is everyone's. We are all the same. Human beings are human beings. If anyone out there hasn't read the book Trading in the Zone, I highly recommend it. Mark Douglas is the writer. And like, you read that book, Trading in the Zone, and then you start listening to podcasts and stuff like that with successful traders. And what you find is all the most successful traders, they eventually discover those things, those psychological things on their own. And then once they conquer those things, they end up being successful. Thank you, Am Gossel. Smash the like. You could just gently push it too. You just give it a little tiny push on that thumbs up. Or you could smash it. Daniel? Yeah, it's great. You'll love it. Yes, Any Matt, no doubt. That's one of those books you should like re-listen to every 6 months or every year. Give yourself a reminder. You'll discover new things. I've read it twice, and I discovered so many new things the second time. All right, well, this note of volume, which was my story for what I thought the market was doing, is about to break. So that will take me back to a neutral stance. I'll, of course, watch once the C period prints here in a minute. Can the C period low stay above the B period low for potential continuation higher? But if this note of volume breaks right here, my assumption is we're going to go rotational. There's a follow-up to the book with new stories? What's it called? I don't think there is. That guy's dead. There's an earlier version that I've never read called The Discipline Trader. I never got around to that one. What's the cessation tick? The cessation of one time framing is at 25.50. Okay, just pulled the POC higher. Slightly bullish signal. All right, guys. Well, that is it for me today here on the public YouTube. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Smashing that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and that notification bell. You know I love you, and I appreciate you. I won't be streaming on Monday. I'm going to take the day off with the rest of the market. So I will see those of you that are here for the public stream on Tuesday morning. If you're a member of the Brigade, give me about 10 minutes and I should be live in the private room. If you're not a member of the Brigade, it only costs $10 a month. It's worth checking out. You can cancel anytime, and there's a link in the description. All right, guys, thank you so much and have a great long weekend. Bye-bye.